Hey, it's Josh, and I finally have your Limit Theory development update. Thank you guys for being patient. I am sorry that I was late this month. If you want the excuse, I was home for Thanksgiving and I didn't have my desktop. Insert secondary and or tertiary excuses here. Anyway, let's talk about November. It happened to be a great month, however, it was quite focused, so I only have two things that I want to talk about today. AI and UI, that's artificial intelligence and user interface. They're both great things, but we do need to start with graphics. We have a tradition of starting with graphics, and I don't have much graphical stuff to show you, so what I'm going to do is hit the old third person, and I'm just going to kind of pan around and hope that you think it looks pretty. No, but seriously, I did do some graphics work, not much, but I did implement, gamma correct rendering, blah, 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 and physically based metal BRDFs, blah, blah, blah. In theory, the ship is looking better than it has ever looked, and so forth. Whatever, who cares? I care, you care, but it's not that noticeable. Anyway, graphics programming, honestly, I tried to stay away from it this month. I don't know if you folks know, but graphics programming it's a problem. It's an addiction. Don't let your kids do that, because once you start programming with graphics, it'll be 3 weeks from now, and you won't know what happened. I'm serious, that stuff will just drain your life away. So I tried to stay away from it. And I did a good job because I got a lot done that was not graphics related this month. As you've noticed, the universe, or the system, is rather inhabited. And by rather, I mean there are probably 9 other people here, which is fantastic. So 2 months ago, I started talking for the first time about the AI in limit theory and how it was going to be super fancy and planning and master algorithm and all this cool stuff. And that was super cool, except it sucked, so this month I had to go rip it out and rewrite it all from scratch because that's what I do best. Actually, I'm just kidding. It was already good, but I had some really good ideas this month and I just couldn't ignore the fact that I could make the AI better. So the thing is, I don't want to get too technical. If you want technical, check my devlogs. I got pretty heavy this month with AI. But I'll just say briefly, previously the AI was based on the notion of creating a plan and following that plan. Not unreasonable. However, in the real world, plans change, things happen, opportunities arise, diversions, things divert your attention, and you have to be prepared to adapt at any moment. The previous AI was not really capable of that. If it got hit in the face with a brick, it would continue doing what it was doing. Not a game-breaking failure. It was still very smart, but not really human-like intelligence. So, this month I came up with something totally new. I'm very excited about it. It's faster, less memory intensive, smarter, and more responsive in that it responds to short and medium-term goals in the same sort of time frame that it responds to long-term goals, meaning it's really fluid at its reasoning. It can take diversions into account. It can take sudden situations into account when it's planning. So I'm very excited about that. I'm not going to explain how it works, but it was the majority of my month because it wasn't a small feat. But honestly, so be it. I'm going to go all out on AI because to me that's a really important part of this game. It's single player, it's sandbox. To me it's very important that the NPCs are actually doing something. So I'm happy with that. As you can see right now, everybody's just kind of parked in front of asteroids, just kind of having a good time. Well, the truth is they're actually mining. So the way I'm working through the development right now is that I'm implementing AI side gameplay first, meaning the AI is actually mining right now. You just can't see it because the graphics aren't implemented and the user interface for it isn't implemented. This allows me to concept gameplay without actually having to do a lot of heavy lifting because it's very easy to write it from the AI's perspective. The AI can mine, and without graphics or UI, it's a very simple thing to write that. So what I want to see is, when I implement that gameplay, how does it work? What kind of behavioral patterns does it create in the world and in the NPCs? Once I'm confident in those patterns, then I can go and, after the fact, implement the graphics and all the shiny stuff and make it really, a compelling experience. But first and foremost, I want to get it working from the AI's perspective. So that's what I've been doing now. These guys are mining, and I'm going to drop the AI thing now because we have bigger fish to fry. let's talk about UI. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast, but I really am excited and I've got a lot of stuff to show. So UI, last month was a big month, mainly because of the data editor. You guys really liked that. And in particular, I think you guys really liked the node-based style of that and how beautiful and elegant it was for showing structural data. Guess what? It's back! Except it's way more beautiful, way more functional, and way more pervasive than last time. Indeed, I took those suggestions seriously and I started thinking and I was like, you know what? Node-based is just superior in every way to a linear interface. I'm going to try that for everything. So what you're seeing right now, you see that OR count going up. I'm actually in the inventory of this ship that I'm looking at. Imagine that I've scanned it and I've got its cargo data and now I'm looking at its inventory. Now I'm going to drill down into the same data that you saw last time. This is the ship data. It's exactly what you were seeing in the previous video, except it's laid out in a different manner, and of course the visuals are a little bit different. This time I'm using a node-based engine that I've created. It's very flexible and it's specifically tailored to be a powerful platform for creating UIs in this style, in this node-based structural navigation style. I'm convinced, guys, after only 2 weeks of really fooling with this idea, I'm absolutely convinced that it is superior and that it's the way to go for everything. Now it's going to get better. I'm going to develop new layout algorithms for representing different types of data, but the fundamental idea of hierarchical structure with nodes, I just think it can't be beaten. So I'm going to carry forward with it, and we'll see what happens. Already I think it's pretty awesome, and look at that. The astute among you may have noticed already that there's this kind of depth effect and that it is indeed 3D, but now I'm making it even more obvious because I'm tilting the interface. So just kind of a gratuitous graphics effect, and here I was saying that I wasn't doing graphics programming. But 3D interface, I wasn't convinced that 3D interfaces were worth anything until I made this one, and then I was like, wow, that's kind of amazing to be able to view data and interactions structurally and in 3D. Kind of awesome. Now just imagine how that would look on the Oculus Rift, which by the way, Limit Theory will support. I can't wait to get that stuff integrated because I think a node-based UI in 3D, I don't know, it's going to be a sci-fi movie, except it's going to be real. So that's very exciting. Now 3D, like I said, it's kind of a gratuitous effect, but I'm going to show you an interface in which it is actually fundamental to the interaction itself. So I've opened a universe map, very rough, little concept universe map. Now I'm actually looking at a cluster, and then I'm going to drill into one of these regions, and now you can see this is a region and it's got 5 systems, and look, you can actually see the system maps from above without drilling into them. This is all using that same node-based tech, using the exact same code that you just saw display the inventory of that other ship. But now it's displaying a system layout. This is essentially your map. And not just a map of the system, but because it's hierarchical, this is effortlessly a system map, a region map, a universe map. It's everything you want it to be. I'm telling you guys, node-based interfaces, they will cook your breakfast for you, they'll wash your car, walk your cat. They'll do everything you want to do. So, I'm very excited. Did I say I was excited? I might be. Anyway, let me show you how I can drill down into a single object within the system app. And notice, this is the same menu that I was just viewing on that ship earlier. It's the same object menu, except this time it's in a different context. It's in the context of the system map. So that's one of the many cool things about a node-based interface, is that you can have these different structural organizations of the same data patterns. So you can just kind of see this data in its native natural formats, but it's always reusing what you already know. And to me, that is just too cool for school. I had to add that last bit. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to, as if I hadn't already hyped this up, I want to talk about a few of the things that made me excited about this type of interface. Number one, it saves dev time. The amount of code that I had to write to make this interface was literally minimal. It was ridiculously small. I could do this system map in probably 25 minutes. It's that easy. Because all the technology behind it the node-based engine is doing all the heavy lifting. I mean, all the graphics, all the layout. It's doing everything, really. I'm just plugging the data. I'm just funneling the data into a format that I think will look good. And the UI engine is doing everything else. Contrast this to a linear interface where a UI artist is laying out everything, specifying all the animations, doing all this manual effort just to get something that is fundamentally pretty much the same as everything else. So that's what I love. First and foremost, this is going to help me build better interfaces faster, get the game shipped faster, and with higher quality. That's exciting to me. On the flip side of that, the fact that this will be used for most, if not all, the interfaces means that you only have one system to learn as a player. Navigating the system map is no different from navigating, for example, the market listings, at a nearby station. Once you learn one, you learn them all. That's not to say that they'll all be exactly the same and that it'll get boring or monotonous, but it is to say that there will be enough structural unification that once you get good with one of them, you're pretty much going to be a beast with all of them. And I'm going to go ahead and kill people in the background because I've been talking about boring stuff for a long time. Boom! I'm going to try to appease you with shiny stuff. That is what I do. See all those cargo containers? That's not real gameplay. I just implemented that for fun so that I can pick up the ore when I, kill poor random NPCs. So I'm stealing his ore right now. Anyway, back to the old interface. My belief is that it is possible to become much more a master of the node-based interface than it is possible to become a master of the linear interface. I mean, really, once you get good at this, you're just going to be drilling into these interfaces, manipulating things so effortlessly and so quickly. It's really all about ease of interaction. That's what a UI is for, right? And I think the node-based UI is going to be great for that. I'm just going to keep going on and shooting missiles at random people. And don't mind me. Look at that. They're seeking missiles. Whoops. Oh, I worked a little bit on explosions this month. They look a little bit better. Not great, but a little bit better. Okay, a few more points I want to make about this interface. Really, I'm sorry I'm selling it so much, but it is what's on my mind lately. And I've been working on it a lot, so I feel like I really want to talk about it. Alternate input devices. Actually, for half the time that you saw me navigating it, I was navigating it with the gamepad. Obviously, the whole radial layout algorithm is very well suited for a gamepad. Note, it's not the primary reason why I chose it. I know people tend to get a little gun shy when they see a radial interface because they're like, oh, it's a console game. Not true. It's very, very natural. In fact, more natural and faster with a mouse and keyboard. Mouse and keyboard is always going to be the most effective way to play this game. That's just how it is. Those are awesome input devices. Gamepad, though, is still very, very natural, very fast with the node-based UI. Linear interface is a little bit more clumsy when it comes to the gamepad. Joystick, same story. With the structural and the 3D layout, navigating things with some kind of axis, i.e. gamepad or joystick, is just totally natural. And it feels great. And if every UI is implemented that way, then every UI is easily navigable with alternate input devices. Very exciting. Final point. I'm going to spend a lot of time making this as intuitive as possible. Right now, it's probably, there are probably stuff that's you don't like about it. It's probably a little bit jarring, a little bit new. I'm going to spend so much time making this as good as possible because the thing is, when I improve one interface, I improve them all because they're all using the same node tech. So it's totally possible to make a really, really good system and have that carry over to all the interactions and all the data viz in the entire game. And that's just such an efficient development process. It's really what procedural is all about. Making the underlying algorithms really good and then having the content be amazing because of that. Now, that being said, I just want to close by saying I am totally open to suggestions. If you can think of ideas, you think of things that you just have to have with respect to this interface, feel free, drop by the forums. Always open to good suggestions. I'm going to cut a little short this time because I've really run out of things to say, but thank you guys for watching. I'm really excited about all this technology lately. AI, UI, it's really coming together, and I can't wait for next month. So thanks for tuning in. See you guys later.